How you feeling, baby?
How you feeling?
Good? Alex is me. Alex is me. Alex is me. Alex is me. How'd it go in there today?
You guys really sat through that whole case and kept your spirits high. I really like that for y'all. That look great. Keep your spirits up, y'all.
Now we need to talk, okay? Because let me tell you something. Let me tell you something right here. If what I witnessed today in court is the way that the rest of this trial is going to go for Puff, he not going to see that maximum jail time they talking about. His lawyers, don't play with them at all. Like, this was the first day of opening statements and the first time we heard any witness testimony, right? I honestly, for one, didn't think we were going to get to any witness testimonies because I thought the opening statements were going to be so long. The prosecutors, they came out swinging. I'm not even going to hold y'all. So court started around like 9:35 a.m. I was in the overflow room for the first half, and then I actually made it into the real courtroom. Diddy was dressed in all gray with a white button up. He actually did get his hair cut a little bit. His facial hair was trimmed up a little bit. So the prosecutors opened this thing up with their opening statements. And in their opening statements, and the prosecutors, for those of you guys who do not know, are the people that think Diddy belongs in jail. The government opening statements actually begin with, he's a cultural icon. He's Diddy. He's larger than life. But there was another side of him. That was the opening line of the prosecutor's statements. So from there, you already know where they're going with it. Started with Cassie, but they didn't start with the video. Prosecutors talked about a night where Cassie, basically had found out that Puff was dealing with another woman. And she was like, I'm out of here. And she went to go be with another man. That man, Alex Fon, who is her now husband, who I actually saw in court today. So I thought at one point Cassie was going to testify today, but it didn't happen. But they talk about how Diddy, when he found out this, got his gun, went and got, a couple people that work with him and went to go find Cassie. Like, he was on like this rage, allegedly. Like, the prosecutors was like, if y'all think y'all know, we about to tell y'all something new right here, right now. Prosecutors used their opening statement time to introduce a lot of new information. The defendants, Diddy side, didn't do that. So prosecutors let us know, number one, that there is a woman named Mia, right? And this woman named Mia is a woman who used to work for Puff. She was his one of his personal assistants. And the prosecutors say that Mia will testify in alleging that she was sexually assaulted by Diddy. And that she basically all of these years was scared to come out because of the power and the influence of Puff. They told us that, Cassie is going to testify and allege that Puff made a male escort pee in her mouth. That is what they alleged in their opening statements. There was an escort that got on the stand as a witness. During this testimony, this escort talked about being made to pee in Cassie's mouth. But this witness says that it was Cassie who asked him to do that. Now, and that Cassie CNN video, now this was tea. And this is why I'm saying Puff's attorneys ain't nothing to be fooled with, okay? Because let me tell y'all. So the CNN video from 2016, this video, I think people keep bringing into question. And for me, I knew that even though they were saying like they were trying to figure out how they were going to use it in the beginning of all this, right? We had that conversation. I knew that they were going to have to be very strategic about how they used it. They as the prosecutors, because he's not being charged with domestic violence. So the prosecutors brought that in by bringing a witness. The witness was a man who was a security guard at the Intercontinental. The security guard, when he's being questioned by the prosecutors, they established like, oh, he was a former LAPD officer, or he's an LAPD officer now. He was a former head of security. And they're doing all of this because, when you're head of security working at a high level place like the Intercontinental, there are certain things that you got to abide by very strictly. Now that you're an LAPD officer, you take an oath to protect and serve. They're trying to establish his integrity. Now, this security guard from the Intercontinental, right? He is net. Well, he was like an assistant director or something like that. Like, so he was like leadership. He wasn't the boss, but he was leadership, right? So he still reported to somebody, but he was leadership, right? So this man, they do a lot of questioning. He goes down the recounting what he remembers from the video. He alleges when he's talking to prosecutors that, when he was called upstairs, he hadn't viewed the video first, so he didn't know that they were actually physically fighting. But when he got up there, Cassie had a purple eye. He says that, he had told them that they had to go back in the room just because he didn't see it himself. Cassie was saying that she wanted to leave, and Puff was saying that she couldn't leave, allegedly. And he was like, no, she's going to leave if she wants to leave, right? He also alleged that when he walked.
Good morning and welcome to the Freak Show. Paul, let it be known. I mean, oh my gosh, I am your host, Stacey Brown, and welcome.
Peace and love. Good morning, everybody. I'm Neo, your co-host, and we got a lot of headlines to get through today. I guess we're starting with Diddy.
Listen, I just, it's a lot there. It's a whole lot. The opening arguments in that trial, it's all disturbing on a lot of levels. Of course, if you had a weak stomach, it's disturbing on that level, but also it's disturbing in this way. And you heard in those videos, they kind of said what I was thinking a lot, and watching and listening to the what was testified to, etc. But the opening statements pointed toward a domestic violence case. This is not a domestic violence case. This is the problem that you got to hold prosecutors and this criminal injustice system accountable. Again, we are certainly, I'm not here to defend Sean Combs in any way, shape, or form, but the man is not charged with domestic violence. And then we hear, and that's so far, it's been the opening statements theme, and it's been the first witnesses, their theme, right? But we also hear that Cassie was paying the guys. Cassie, the one where the guy testified that he gave her thousands of dollars to do this, to urinate in her mouth. Puff sat in the corner there, pleasuring himself and directing the action. And then it wasn't just one time, several times. Cassie and Cassie's husband, what is he doing there? She's not testifying yet. What is he doing there? What is he doing in the court yesterday? It's a whole lot wrong, and oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a whole lot going on. But yesterday was a full day. Opening statements, like you said, you had the two witnesses. Former LAPD officer Israel Flores testified to, like you said, the domestic violence incident in the hotel. You had the escort stripper Daniel Phillips, who had a freak off with Cassie and Diddy in 2012 at the Gramercy Park Hotel. Like you mentioned, Alex Fine was there, but I'm assuming he's there just to assess the situation, as his pregnant wife, who is in her third trimester, will more than likely testify today. I think Diddy had a strong showing of support from his family. It will be interesting to see how, if all his baby's mamas show up again today, how that will play out with Cassie being on the stand, because at one time they were all one big happy family, Cassie included. They were all together. We know that the two daughters, the three daughters left the courtroom yesterday when the testimony of the male escort started talking about a lot of the freak off activities that were going on in that hotel room. So they were removed from the courtroom. And so it's just, we'll see what happens today, and like you said, yeah. Puff is not on trial for domestic violence. He is on trial for sex trafficking, sexual assault. He's on trial for that. So it'll be interesting to see how the prosecution can really, prove their case if they're basing it strongly on Cassie and the incident in that hotel.
Yeah, yesterday we talked about these the conspiracy charges, the RICO charges, and who's the co-conspirators, because you got to have a co-conspirator. And based on the prosecution's witness, folks, we're a long way from the defense's case. This is the prosecution's case. The prosecution witness, based on the prosecution witness, sounds like it's Cassie. Sounds like she's a co-conspirator here. I mean, I'm
And
sorry to say that, but it sounds like she is a co-conspirator. It sounds like she was paying folks to come in. Now, and one of the things that struck me, one of the things that really struck me was that the testimony also, because the little details sometimes, if you are on a jury, you're supposed to pay attention to all the details, was that this was after Cassie's hit record dropped. She had a hit record. She was riding high, according to the testimony on this hit record. You would have thought if she was an unwilling participant, I'm sorry, y'all. At this point, she's hit stardom. She's got a hit record. Can she extricate herself from a situation she doesn't want to be in? I'm a little skeptical. Y'all can bring me back down here, but I'm a little skeptical that she couldn't walk away from this if she wanted to, based on the prosecution's witness, not the defense's witness, but the prosecution's witness. I'm a little skeptical about that. I think you got to be fair here if you're gonna, talk about this trial. She couldn't just walk away.
Well, that's been the thing. That's been the thing all along. The privilege of the rich. I'll put it that way: the privilege of the rich versus someone who is, in a situation where they have no outs. And so it'll be interesting to let Cassie tell her story, and how the prosecutor, guides her testimony, because if they solely focus on domestic violence, it's going to be a problem for them, because that's not what he's
It
on trial
should be.
for. And when those jurors go to deliberate, they're going to have to look at what he's charged with, not what they want to punish him for.
Right. Exactly. And that's what the defense attorneys has to hone in on, and I'm sure they will. That, listen, okay, because they came in their opening statement saying, listen, he's a freak. He's got some sexual proclivities that, he participates in. He blah, blah, blah.
Right. It'll be interesting to see. You said that she was the co-conspirator, but we know Daphne Joy, who is 50 Cent's baby's mother. She was another one that, they talked about purchasing male escorts and having these freak offs with Diddy. We know that as well as Young Miami, allegedly she was another one. It just seems like, because I think that Young Miami and Cassie might have been around the same age, when Diddy had Cassie. And so we know that Young Miami was 10 toes down participant. She even alluded to the golden showers. And so it's not surprising to hear that happened with Cassie, because Young Miami was proud about it. And the gentleman that was on stage, Daniel Phillips, he was like, "You want me to do what?" And she was like, "Let's just get it in." In so many words. And so,
I just, and to be quite honest with you, it might sound like I'm far from naive, but I had never heard of that golden shower thing until the R. Kelly stuff. What possesses? I never really in my life, I'd never heard of people talking about that stuff or doing that stuff, and certainly not even that. What would possess what it has to be so degrading. But you mentioned Young Miami, and I think there's a video or some interview she did talk about how much she enjoys it. And how do you enjoy? It's like the most it's like somebody, just the guy or the girl or whomever is doing it, they obviously don't care about you.
I'm not even judging that. I mean, that's
No, it's not.
There are some people. What people do in the bedroom is
I get that. My point is I never heard of that before, and it just sounds so degrading. But to your point, if that's what people want to do, that's their business. You're right. I just find who's cleaning it up? That's what.
But it's just
I guess not. But to have your kids there, to have your mom there, And like you mentioned, I asked about Cassie's husband. You said he wanted to get the lay of the land. Um, I can't imagine wanting to hear any more than what she has to say. I just can't. But again, I'm not judging the man. I'm not trying to judge the man. Maybe I am judging the man, but I'm not trying to. I just couldn't sit there and listen to this stuff at all. I mean, it would
But
have to
he
be
knew
her
about
on
it.
the stand,
I mean,
huh?
from what we know, he knows about all of this. Remember, he helped her get away, and
Right, but they
so
wasn't married at the time, right?
but all of these things he knew because he helped her get out of this bad situation. So I mean, I'm pretty sure it's nothing that he hasn't heard. I'm sure that she has met with the prosecutors. They have questioned her, they have prepped her, they have prepared
Mhm.
her. He's probably been there. And so he knows all these things. And there are rumors that he has participated in a few freak offs. Now that is
Right,
all allegedly.
right,
So what was going on at Puff's house when they were all together, when Kim Porter was alive?
right.
It's just coming out now, but it still doesn't mean that he's guilty of what they're charging him for. And it seems like to me, they're more so focused on the domestic violence case that happened in 2012 than they are not in 2012, but in 2016,
Hmm.
rather than focused on what they actually charged him with.
This is something that again I have a problem with, and I think that it'll never change. Well, I shouldn't say never, right? But it has never changed to date. But if you're charged with something, all this other stuff should not be allowed in. What does if he should have been charged with domestic violence? When it comes to, we saw a video, we saw him doing it, charge him with that and see how that plays out. But they did not. They did not. So to me, in some ways, two things are happening there. One, they want to embarrass him. Two, she probably it was a regular thing that they fought, and this is what his attorney said in the opening statements, that he hit her, she hit him, she hit her, she they hit each other. Uh, to introduce this stuff and to stick with that, and they also obviously, the third thing is making sure to inflame that jury, and this is why it should not be allowed. He's not being charged. It's like you being charged with shoplifting, and they're talking about somebody's murder somewhere. You're trying to inflame the jury,
Mhm.
and that's just not. It's not right. In fact, the law, David Youngblood, and I'm sure David knows this. The law says that you are really you're not supposed to be able to do that. You're not supposed to be able to incite the jury on other things that are not, that the defendant is not being charged with.
I mean, I think it proves that their case isn't as strong as they know it is. It's not strong. They don't have a strong case. And they're
Hmm.
basing it entirely on Cassie. From day one opening statements, it's clear that they're basing this case on Cassie, and they're hoping that her being in her third trimester and her looking like a docile and she is a victim. She is a victim. I'm not saying
Hmm.
that she's not, but that's just not what Puff is on trial for. And
Right.
so we'll see. She's supposed to, well, they're on track. She is supposed to be, they've been talking about she's supposed to be the third witness. Like I said, we both have said there have been two witnesses so far. So, and her husband, Alex Fine, was there yesterday. And so don't be surprised if she waddles into the courtroom today.
Yeah, Dr. Joni too says she totally disagrees. Really wish this isn't all that's going to be takes about. Um, yeah, I mean, look, this is just from a reporting standpoint. I'm trying to understand some things, Dr. Joni, but it's not again talked about, right? It's not intended to degrade a victim. I'm just trying to find, like, look, we go into these courts all the time. We have folks on trial all the time, and it's about a level playing field, and
Right.
that's what I'm that's my concern, that despite, I could care less about Diddy. If he went to prison for life, it wouldn't phase me one bit. But my problem is that this man, like everybody else, deserves a fair trial.
Yeah,
And go ahead.
and I mean, you know, I am very sympathetic to Cassie, but she is a privileged victim. She's a privileged
Mm,
victim. Most victims don't get millions of dollars for the pain, the for being victims, you know. And so I feel sorry for Cassie. I hate that that happened to her, but she's a privileged victim, and there are a lot of victims out here that do not get the justice that she has been able to get, because she's able to take care of her family, she's able to go on and live her life, she's able to pop up at fashion, she's able to do all of those things, and clearly she's moved on with her life. She has
mhm,
family, she's getting her retribution for what did to her. But most women don't have that luxury or privileged. So I'm
mm,
just, I'm just looking at the facts. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got your money, now, you're coming in, you're going to testify against this man. There are a lot of nuances to this case that like, there's alleged that she was mad at the way that he gave Young Miami everything that he was supposed to do for her, and that's
mm,
what set her off. There are also allegations that when Puff was doing whatever beating on Kim Porter, she thought it was a joke and it was all cool and dandy.
mm,
And she was very involved and friends with all the baby's mama. So it's a lot going on in this situation.
mm.
And I think this is an example of what you call. I mean, there's a certain level of privilege that Cassie has that you can't compare to another person that went through something horrific, that doesn't have the resources, the media, and the support that this woman has.
Now she'll be even more famous. Folks will be she'll be sought after even more after this. So um, moving on to another case. uh, Tory Lanez was stabbed multiple times yesterday in the prison cell. He was not in the cell, but he was in the yard of the prison when another inmate stabbed him um, a number of times. I think one report said more than a dozen times. He, at last, we understood, maybe Neil, I don't know if you had an update, but um, he was in critical condition. I don't know if they stabilized him. But it was unclear what the motivation was for the attack. But an ambulance rushed him to a hospital in Bakersfield, California. He is serving a 10-year sentence at the California State Prison for the 2020 shooting of Megan Thee Stallion. So Tory Lanez, something happened that apparently led to his stabbing yesterday. I mean, a vicious, brutal attack on Tory Lanez yesterday.
Well, he was actually stabbed 14 times, including 7 wounds to his back, 4 to his torso, 2 to the back of his head, and 1 to the left side of his face. Both his lungs collapsed, and he was placed on a breathing apparatus. He's now breathing on his own despite being in pain, and he's in good spirits. Now, this came from Tory's actual Twitter or Instagram handle. And they're also saying that this is a race war, that it was done by Mexicans allegedly. And so, if that is the case, this could be very detrimental to the California prisons across the board, because usually, if you have a race war, it spreads to the other prisons. And so, this is definitely a story to watch, not just for Tory Lanez, but just of the impact that it could have on prisons all around the state of California. Prisons could be on lockdown right now, because it typically it spreads across the prison system.
Mhm. Wow. Yeah, it's prison life, isn't it? It's unfortunate to say that, but it seems based on so much history and what we've seen and heard, it is prison life, unfortunately. And who knows what took place before the
And this is
incident? But you're
allegedly.
saying,
This is
right,
allegedly that
right.
they're saying that it was he was attacked by Mexicans in the jail. It's
Hmm.
allegedly. I'm sure we'll get more information as time goes on, but it's typical. This type of thing is typical. If he's high profile, if the
Hmm.
Latinos want to send a message, We don't know what's been happening on his yard and what he's been involved in. We don't know if he got a snack that he wasn't supposed to have. We don't know what the situation is. But that's
Mm.
what they're saying, that it was attacked by he was attacked by Mexicans allegedly.
Wow, wow. It's something else what a fall from grace. And we were talking about Diddy, but this is another fall from grace right here. I mean, this guy was riding high. I mean, what a career he was enjoying, and the incident with Meg The Stallion happens, and you know he lost it all in a blink.
Hmm.
It's terrible. We're going to turn our attention briefly to some politics. And I think this is very interesting. Joe Biden's media comeback isn't winning over fans, especially among Democrats who are trying to move on from the 2024 debacle. In a new piece by Politico, a number of Democratic operatives bluntly say it's time for Biden to just go away. Chuck Rocha, who's a strategist, a strategist, Democratic strategist, said every time he speaks, we're stuck defending him and reliving defeat. They say they want him to go away. Amanda Lippman says his interviews drag the party backwards when fresh voices are desperately needed.
Hmm.
I listen. I can't blame them at all. Particularly for those who want to move forward. There's nothing you could do about what happened last year. And Biden, listen, like him or not, he makes it worse. I think so. And I've seen him. He was on The View. He's been, popping up here and there. And when he starts to speak, and he spoke again about a few days ago anyway, saying that how he feels he still would have beaten Donald Trump. And I mean, he made a little sense that he didn't go all the way, but he felt that Vice President Harris really didn't have much of a chance.
Hmm.
But it wasn't because of her qualifications or lack thereof. It was the way things were set up. And really what he should have said is that it's impossible. It's almost impossible to get a black woman elected in this country. It's impossible to get a woman elected. You couldn't get Hillary elected, and you couldn't, I said it then. If y'all couldn't get Hillary elected, what made y'all think y'all was going to get a black woman elected? A very qualified, the most qualified candidate there was Kamala Harris. And yet, and black women, of course, as you point out all the time, certainly stood up and showed up for her. But folks see that as a threat. And so what did they do? They decided on a felon instead of a prosecutor. So, among other things. But I agree wholeheartedly with these Democratic operatives who say Biden just needs to stay out of the spotlight. Because if he's going to talk about the election, especially if he's going to talk about the election last year, he needs to go away.
I mean, Biden is not the problem. The DNC's big problem right now is David Hogg. He is the vice chair, and they are really talking about removing him because he is going around the country really pretty much bashing the party that he's the vice chair of. And so Biden is not the problem. The Democrats have a bigger problem than him going on the circuit saying what's true. I mean, he has a right to say that. He put a black woman in the Supreme Court. He picked one as his vice president. He's saying what we all think, but like I'm saying, he's not the problem. It's this David Hogg gentleman. I've been seeing a lot of content creators talk about him. He's going around the country pretty much talking about all of the gripes that we have about the Democratic Party, but they don't like how he's moving, they don't like how he's operating, and they want to get him out.
Well, they should get him out. I've heard a lot about Hogg as well. They should get him out. But I also stand by the fact that Biden, you say he's not the problem. I think he's certainly not the symptom to the problem. And so he should go away. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's like saying, tell Obama to go away, tell Michelle to go away. I mean,
no,
he's
because
not even out enough. He's not even out enough. I mean, he came out one time And he's in the
Well, he's
sunset.
popped up about 3 different times now, and
Okay, 3 times. That's a lot.
well, understand that his cognitive abilities are not where you would want him as a front-facing person for a party. You know, he's very slow on the draw. He's
Mhm.
smart. He's smart as all outdoors, but he's very slow on the draw, and all he does is give the other side more talking points. You know, I mean, is it his fault? He
Well,
can't
we
help
don't
himself.
have the Democratic Party doesn't have talking points. So maybe if they had some talking points,
Hmm.
then it would make a difference. But when you
Okay.
don't have talking points, then you have people maybe like a Joe Biden getting out there saying what's on his mind. When you have the Republican Party, on the other hand, unified in what they're saying, from Fox News to MSNBC to CNN, they are unified in what they're talking about. So maybe the issue is more of the Democratic Party doesn't have talking points to pass out to its leadership, from a presidential level all the way down to a municipal level. Maybe they need to get some talking points and pass them around to everybody so that they sound like a unified effort.
Well, okay. Well, Inferno 932 says, I think it's hard to watch him decline in front of us. Generation X, we watched him at his peak. But then Inferno goes on to say, also, though, we are fighting fascism, so we need all the help we can get. So there, okay. So some like Inferno, some like yourself, Neil, believe that he's not hurting anything.
I
Some
don't think he's
Democratic
hurting
operators
anything.
believe that. I'm
I
sorry.
disagree. I said I don't think he's hurting anything. I think the Democratic Party has a bigger issue, and it is they
Mhm.
don't know have an agenda, or if they do have an agenda, they're not letting everybody know about it, and they're not making it clear to the American people.
Well, yeah, and Dr. Joni too says the Republicans are unified in delusion. Someday, I think many of them will regret being on the wrong side of history. You know, they may privately regret it. I don't know that we'll ever really see that. I think that they're gonna have to be bludgeoned. You know, you know, and somebody mentioned, and I think it was Mike V who mentioned yeah, he said the data says that the vice president had a chance. Losing by 1.5% is a pretty close margin.
Mhm.
And you know, you're absolutely right. And I am one who actually believes that uh, she won the election, but nobody wants to really talk about that. But it goes to my original point that them not letting a black woman run this country, letting a woman, period, run this country. I think she won the election. I really do. And I'm still annoyed with Representative Lauren Underwood for just dismissing that out of hand when you got other Democrats also saying that, listen, yeah, let's count those things. We should have asked for we should have, could have, would have. But the fact is, all I'm saying is, I think that if the votes were legitimate, she won. That's all I'm saying. But it's whatever. We are where we are now. We can't go back. You can't change it. So, and Democrats don't fight. Patricia Jackson said so. They look sophisticated. I don't think they make the other side look sophisticated. I just think that they make themselves look lost. And that's where that party is right now, just lost. And now you have AOC even floating the idea, or at least not dismissing the idea, that she may run for president. So that's the state of the party.
Right, right. And I think that's the bigger issue. It's bigger than Biden. It's bigger than, it's the party has no talking point. Maybe they should have sent him around the country saying that he thinks the election was rigged. You know what I'm saying? Like, give him some talking points. If you don't give him no
Trump had
talking
no
points,
problem. I'm sorry, he had no problem the whole 4 years that Biden was in office to say that the election was rigged. He had no problem, him and his people, going around the country, even after an insurrection, going around the country saying that. And so I think you're right. And I think that somebody else mentioned this, perhaps he and the other former presidents, maybe they should have, Patricia Jackson said, go out around the country and bring that message. So but again, they just watching politics all these years, Democrats are just a different breed. They just don't seem to know how to deliver a knockout punch even when the opponent is staggering and on the ropes and his hands are down. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
So
yeah. DNC leadership needs definitely a big overhaul. And it's so funny because they just really voted on the new leadership there. And so there you have it. There you have it. Uh,
um
you ready?
yeah, yep. So John Legend, um here's something. Now I think this is interesting only because of the perspective that John Legend gave on this. He opened up about his thoughts on Kanye West's recent drama and thinks the situation with his former friend and collaborator is sad. He said, of course, Kanye faced backlash recently after releasing his track called How Hitler, which was eventually removed from streaming platforms, which you knew it would be. I mean, this guy has really lost it. In a tense interview with Piers Morgan, Kanye abruptly exited after a disagreement over his social media follow account. They argued over the number of people who follow him. But bottom line is, John Legend, not Kanye. John Legend said Kanye was, quote, very passionate, very gifted, and he had big dreams, not only for himself, but also for all the people around him. He had so much optimism, so much creativity. It does feel sad, sometimes shocking, to see where he is now. So John Legend really speaking out about Kanye West.
Mm. Yeah, he's really been Kanyeing lately. They said that the Kardashians allegedly had to call a family meeting because earlier this week he verbally said in a video. I actually sent it to my mother last night because she couldn't believe it. He said that Northwest has dyslexia, and he also said that she has bowel problems. Now, who does that
Yeah.
to their child?
Who
Who does
who
that
who
to their
does
child?
that? Right.
Who does that to? And so they said that Chris wants to call the lawyers, and Kim is like, no, he'll go nuclear. So Kim is like really, pacing herself when dealing with him because it's true. If you set Kanye off, it's like it's gonna be World War III. I mean, he's not holding back, and he probably has so many secrets on those Kardashians that Kim is like, stop,
Mm.
just stop it. But for him to do that to North, the one that he adores the most, and to put her business out there, I mean,
Even
Kanye.
it may not even be true. I mean, this guy is he's really something else.
Mhm. He is. We just need to well, they need pray for Kanye t-shirts. I know last week
Would you buy one?
I know last no, but I'll pray for him. I think he's a great producer. I mean I love his music, but last week when Tina Knowles had her her book tour stop in Houston and Kelly Rowland moderated it, she brought her ex-husband out, Matthew Knowles. And he was talking about that he doesn't say much, but you understand what he means. And he actually brought up Kanye, and Miss Tina Knowles was like, "Stop! Don't go there." So I don't know if the Carters have had a conversation with Kanye, and they did a little Will Smith, keep my out Joe mouth. I don't know what that was, but Matthew Knowles had a choice where, and Tina was like, "Shh, don't talk about it." So I don't know what's going on, but Kanye is pissing off a lot of the right people to shut him up.
Mm. Well, one of the things that John Legend mentioned too was that he said that he began to see a change in Kanye's behavior after his mother died in 2007, and you've heard that a few times from folks, that you started to see a change. So it kind of suggests that he has never gotten any type of therapy from that whatsoever. It's a very triggering. It was a very triggering, understandably so, moment in his life, and he never he never was able to deal with it, and apparently never got any serious help for it.
For sure, for sure.
Wow, mama's boy, right?
We'll see what Kanye does this week. To be
Oh,
continued,
gosh.
folks.
Uh, Nancy Wall says Kanye is a nutcase and needs help. We all have changes when our parents die, especially if we're close to them. Yeah, he just hasn't been able to cope. I mean, this guy, you talk about burning bridges. This guy torches bridges, tunnels, and every way, everything. This guy just as he leaves nothing left. Nothing. All right. Enough of Kanye. But I thought it was interesting that John Legend decided to speak on Kanye. All right. So you got some quickies.
So, a couple more headlines happening across the country that might be impacting your city or state. Let's start with Florida. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is calling out the property tax system. Now, the governor was quoted as saying, "Why am I still paying for something I already bought? You should own your property free and clear."
You know, I think we've heard this expression many times. A broke clock is right twice a day. Um, I agree with Governor DeSantis. As much as I hate to say I agree with anything he says, I agree. But the thing about it is, he has the power to do something about it. And instead of complaining about it, he literally has the power. This guy has had judges, elected judges, removed from their positions, elected judges, and they've remained removed. He has the power to do something about property taxes. And I agree. I do agree. New Jersey, for instance, has property taxes that for many people, is more than what they pay in their principal and interest on their mortgage. And so that means that if you have a $1,200 mortgage, your property taxes are like $1,200 or $1,300. When you finally pay that house off, you still paying $1,300, $1,400 a month to the government instead of the bank. So you never own your property.
Mm. Yeah, it's a great
So
conversation to have, and
yeah,
so I'm glad he brought it up. But let's head on to Newark, New Jersey. Liberty International Airport has an air traffic controller problem, Stacy. Now, the airport had to run with just one certified air traffic controller during peak hours yesterday. Now, between 6:30 p.m. and 9:30 p.m., when the airport was at its highest peak with up to 180 planes taking off and landing. Um, you had one air traffic controller and an assistant. And this is a drastic departure from the standard 15-person crew usually needed to safely manage the airport's operation. Now,
yeah.
is Trump going to blame Biden for this?
Well, he
Because
already has.
his Doge folks came in slashing and cutting and taking away. And so, I mean, this is a definite reflection of the Trump plan administration.
Yeah, he already has blamed Biden and has unabashedly blamed Biden for his follies. Just quickly, briefly, real quick, go back to the whole taxes thing. MB says something I wanted to say that it goes, the property taxes are supposed to go to the public schools in the zip code. That's true. But listen, that's the one tax that goes up constantly. It never stops going up, and you don't get rebates on them. I mean, you don't get a break on them at all. So anyway, just
Yeah.
wanted to sew that up real quick. But yes, the air traffic situation out of Newark, and that's you fired everybody in the FAA.
Right, right. Crazy, crazy. Now let's jump into a little bit of technology. If you own an Apple device between September 17th, 2014 and December 31st, 2024, you may be eligible to receive y'all $20. A
Hey,
$20 payment per device. Now, this is all because of a federal lawsuit against Apple alleges users' private conversations were recorded by devices after unintentionally activating Siri. Now, to submit a claim, all you have to do is visit the Lopez Voice Assistance Settlement website by July 2nd. and I want my 20, 40, 60, $80 per device, I probably have had to buy a phone twice during that time. I want all my coins, Apple. All my
I
coins.
sign up for every class action that they send my way. There's sometimes the checks are $20 or $10. Sometimes they're $80, $90. I think the biggest one I got was like 200 some dollars, but I sign up for every single one of them.
Yeah, you really should. You really should. And more Trump clan administration downfall. The USDA has decided not to require poultry companies to limit salmonella bacteria in their products. Now, the move was praised by the National Council of Chickens. But so now we don't know how much bacteria we're gonna have in our chickens, and I don't even know if the states can fix this.
I have never heard of the National Council of Chickens.
Me
Did they
neither.
just make that
That,
up?
that just tickled me. But I'm pretty sure there is a I'm pretty sure there's a National Council of Beef. There's a National Council of Pork.
Yeah, I got
Hey.
beef. I got beef.
You have to have these councils to regulate this protein that's going into these markets.
And as Dr. Joni points out, this is during bird flu outbreak, and Patricia Jackson
You're
says,
right.
"What the
That's a good
heck?"
point. That's a good point. That's a definitely good point. But these are things that we have to let you know because they're happening at such a rapid pace and it's not being covered. But I want to know that when I'm looking at my chicken in the grocery store, that it might have too much salmonella bacteria. I might
This
have
is
to call.
just
I don't know what. I mean, this is where we are, folks. This is where we are.
disturbing.
And
Goodness.
we have a couple of sports headlines. The Philadelphia Eagles will host the Dallas Cowboys in the 2025 NFL season opener on Thursday, September 4th. And we know all eyes are going to be, of course, the Eagles. And, there are tons of Cowboys fans. Jesus Christ, there are tons of Cowboys fans. But I think all eyes are really going to be on Cleveland, Shador. They want to see how he's going to be treated. They want to see if he's going to play. And you can't deny the excitement that the Sanders brothers have added to the NFL, whether you like it or not.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
We gotta
Yeah.
wait till September, but
Well,
we'll
you
see.
have to
But
wait till September when you look at his jersey, Shador Sanders' jersey was the number one rookie jersey that sold out. There is a certain level of excitement. People want to see Travis Hunter too, but there is a certain level of excitement that they brought to the game. It's undeniable what happened at the draft.
I'm
All eyes, the ratings boosted because all eyes were on Shador. If he would have been the first round draft pick, do you think those ratings would have peaked like that? Mm-mm.
to be quite frank, I'm more interested in Travis Hunter and seeing how I really, let me rephrase that, not more interested, but I really believe that out of the two of them, he's the one with the superstar potential. I really believe that. And I think that Travis Hunter is the one to really watch. Shador may surprise us or me, but Travis Hunter is the one that is going to has a chance, in my view, to be a franchise player. And so we'll see.
Yeah, but that's the conversation. And I think that's to my point. Those boys drive conversation in the NFL, whether you believe it's Travis Scott, not him, but they are adding something to the NFL. I saw a video the other day of Travis Hunter. His girlfriend is still getting booed. So now, you know what I'm saying? Like there's just so much surrounding these boys, not just on the field. It's not just on the field. It's the conversation that comes along with it. It's the conversation that, of the Deion Sanders factor that still
Yeah.
follows those young men. So I think it's on the field and off the field that drives the attention around them, which would be exciting for NFL.
Inferno 932 is a fan. He says he doesn't want to be a Browns fan, but he will be watching and supporting the Sanders. He watched them grow up. He's a huge Deion fan from his teen years. So there you have it.
Yeah. And I see that's my point. Like I think you're going to have Cleveland hit who would have bought outside of Cleveland a Cleveland Browns jersey? #1 rookie jersey. I mean, we'll see. But like you said, now let's see if he shows up. He's able to show up and show out on the field because it's still not. He's still not expected to start. So he still has
I
to
don't.
wait for that
Yeah,
opportunity.
he's gonna have to wait, and it depends on how the quarterback situation goes there in Cleveland. But it could be as long as a 2-3 year wait for him.
So there we have it. NFL starts September 4th. So get ready, folks. And in NBA news, Michael Jordan will be joining the NBA on NBC and Peacock as a special contributor. So I guess he's going to play less golf during the basketball season and give us some of that Air Jordan expertise on the TV. I think a lot of people will be excited to see that. And we know we talked about Carmelo Anthony coming on as a sports analyst as well. So it looks like NBC and Peacock are ramping up to give us some magic because we know we love the Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, and that 4-man show that TNT. It left TNT, right? And now where did they land? I think Max.
Well, I think they don't they have another year with TNT, or is this it?
Yeah, no, it was it. They said their goodbyes. I think they're on
Okay.
Max now, or they're on another network. But I know people love the 4 of them together, and so it seems like NBC and Peacock are trying to ramp up their voices and get us excited to see Jordan.
The only thing that'll get me excited about having Jordan on the broadcast is if they put Scottie Pippen on the other side.
Ooh, no,
That's it. That's it. Because it ain't happening. I don't think I think even if they wanted to, Jordan wouldn't want it. The way he mistreated Scottie and the way he just totally disgusting. But nonetheless.
Yeah, and I know that your New York Knicks won last night. New York was on fire. And I mean, it seems like New York is taking over what the Lakers used to be. They had a showtime yesterday. They had Spike Lee. I saw Cardi B and her new boyfriend was trending. You had the Jenner girls there. Everybody was in the house last night at the Knicks game.
Well, like you said, the Lakers are the ones who originated that whole
Showtime.
that whole celebrity row is what I'm saying. And the Knicks are the other team that has long had celebrities attend, and now because it's chic to sit courtside, you got everybody coming. I mean, they generally have. I mean, I go to the Garden a lot, and they generally have so many celebrities down on Celebrity Row. And yesterday was like everybody. Yeah, they had all the former Knicks there. They, Spike sometimes brings Denzel to the game, which always excites the crowd. But you have Ben Stiller, a huge Knicks fan. There, Sting is always there. There a lot. John McEnroe, of course, Spike. Tracy Morgan's a huge Knicks fan. He's always courtside. So you have a lot of it's well represented. The celebrity row is well represented at the Garden. There's 2 places to go in the NBA for that, as you mentioned. Los Angeles Lakers, not Clippers, but Lakers, and the Knicks. So
right. And those are your quickies for the morning.
All right. Well, and I didn't see Orangey say nothing about the Knicks, so we'll see. When they lose again, he'll make sure to chime in.
Oh, that's why he's quiet. Okay.
Yeah. When they lose, he'll let me know. We got to take a black card away from somebody today, and we got to get rid of another black MAGA person, Damani Fedler. He is it's another black MAGA. So, the more of those you get rid of, the better. His latest, he claims that he has black fatigue, and that it's not only white people who have it. He says that inner city, he called the inner city, quote, garbage. Mm-hmm. And as somebody posted, real question is, what are you, Damani, doing in the inner city to help struggling young men? And as another social media person put it, here we have another pathetic sellout, cowardly coon, shoe shining and dancing a jig for his racist conservative audience that loves to hear this kind of historical anti-black stuff. By the way, why can't you people ever come up with your own terms? First, it was woke, now black fatigue, a term that was popularized by Mary Frances Winters in her 2020 book, Black Fatigue, How Racism Erodes the Mind, Body, and Spirit. The term refers to the physical and mental exhaustion experienced by Black people due to the constant stress of navigating systemic racism, discrimination, and microaggressions over generations. So the black card has been revoked from another MAGA, and we won't stop until they all lose their entry pass to the cookout.
There you have it.
Yeah, goodbye. See you when we see you. All right, so some history, some black history on this date. Here we go. The big guy. In 1950, legendary Motown performer Stevie Wonder was born. Stephen Hardaway Judkins on this date in 1950 in Saginaw, Michigan. Although he lost his eyesight shortly after birth, Stevie went on to become one of the most celebrated African-American musical performers to date. He has won 22 Grammy Awards during his career, more than any male solo artist. So Stevie Wonder is getting older.
Yeah, today is Stevie Wonder Day here in LA. He owns Radio Free 102.3 KGLH. So if you guys want to tune in, you can download the app. They're going to be playing Stevie Wonder music all day. I'm sure that he'll probably pop up if he's in town on the Tammy Mack show that starts about 4 o'clock in the afternoon out here, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The seventh wonder or the eighth wonder of the world, they call him Stevie Wonder. Eighth wonder of the world. Eighth wonder of the world, Stevie Wonder. Yeah. So today is Stevie Day. And because his radio station out here is the only Black-owned radio station, it's a big deal. So I'm pretty sure the radio station today will be popping, y'all.
They used to call, they used to call the Houston Astrodome the eighth wonder of the world. But but Stevie Wonder came along, started winning all those Grammys and turned everything around. So there you go.
Yeah, and in more birthday news, Joe Louis, the world heavyweight boxing champion, was born today. Also, the renowned jazz singer Al Jarreau was born today. And then finally, in 1969, James Charles Evers was elected as the first African-American mayor of the racially mixed town in Mississippi.
And one more Black history fact. On this date in 1985, the Philadelphia Police Department dropped a C4 bomb on the home of the MOVE organization, killing 11 people, including 5 children, and wiping out 61 houses in 2 city blocks. MOVE is a political and religious organization founded by John Africa Sr. in 1972. The name is not an acronym, but an emphasis of their living philosophy that each individual life is dependent on every other life, and all life has a purpose. So all living beings, things that move, are equally important, whether they are human beings, dogs, birds, fish, trees, ants, weeds, rivers, wind, or rain. Socially and environmental focused MOVE members attended protests and supported animal rights, environmental justice, and racial justice since its founding. In Philadelphia, because of their loud and visible radical presence, they were targets for police harassment, raids, and arrests, including a violent home invasion in 1978. Well, the bomb that killed 11 people, including John Africa and 5 children of MOVE members, really set off that neighborhood. The street was decimated and over 60 homes, as we said, was destroyed, and nearby homes that were left standing were boarded up and abandoned. So this is how they eliminated a Black neighborhood in Philadelphia. And that's just, it's sad. They've never recovered. They have not recovered. All right, so Our Black-owned newspaper of the day is the Inland Valley News. The Inland Valley News is the only premier African-American owned and operated, legally adjudicated and audited news publication serving Southern California's Inland Valley communities. The newspaper believes that data is its compass and return on investment is its destination. They drive results that matter and help investors and readers and others navigate the ever-changing marketing landscape. So the Inland Valley News is our Black-owned newspaper of the day. You can check them out online. And if you're in the valley, the Inland Valley in California and the Los Angeles area, check out the publication itself.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. And for the latest in Black news, you know what to do. Head on over to blackpressusa.com.
And for more, let it be known, check us out tomorrow. We'll be back with more for you. Thanks for watching.